it's all well and good. There's no reason why you wouldn't bring different students onto your show, I guess. This idea, and again, I've said this many times, there is an increase in anti-Semitism in this country and probably globally, frankly. And it is definitely attributable to what Israel is doing in Gaza. And that doesn't justify it in any way, but it certainly gives, it provides more oxygen. There's always been anti-Semitism here. But there is a cohort of Jews in this country who have centered themselves as the victims. And we live in America, and I understand if you're concerned, you have family in Israel and whatnot, and October 7th was horrible, and certainly people in Israel are afraid. But if you're a reporter and you have somebody on there, there's some basic facts that you should not allow this person to lie about. Let's play this clip.
Well, why have this person on?
Well, I mean, I certainly, after the fact, but, you bring on, I would hope that they have brought on protesters
Jewish Voice
as well.
for Peace demonstrators. How about that?
I would hope that they would have done that, but.
So you describe yourself as Black, Native American, and Jewish. Mm-hmm. You've talked about how your feelings of feeling accepted on the campus changed after October 7th. What has that been like?
It's been really difficult. Again, I went through a lot of this grief process and primarily experiencing this issue in the first semester. That's when I learned that the community that I felt previously so accepted by, specifically because of my identities, all of this was actually conditional, and the one condition is my Jewish identity, which I assumed.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, here's the thing, and we should say, she spoke at that support the genocide rally with Robert Hagee.
John
Hagee,
who said Hitler was.
Without knowing this person or what she's dealing with at school, I do spend a decent amount of time talking to college students, and the idea that this person was singled out because she's Jewish is an absolute lie.
Yeah.
The reason why she is fine, it has nothing to do with her identity. It has to do with what she believes is okay.
Her political, not religious.
Exactly. And she's going to go on and tell a big lie, a very easily checkable lie in a moment to justify her entire premise here. Go ahead.
One condition is my Jewish identity, which I assumed was also another reason why I was so uplifted, because the Jewish people are a significant minority.
One of the things that your classmates will say is that they are protesting Zionism, which is specifically this movement to create, to develop, to support a Jewish state. Is it legitimate in your view to protest Zionism specifically?
Absolutely not. And there are many different ways you can look at this. But number one is that Zionism makes the Jewish people, 80% of them identify as Zionists, potentially more. I would have to check the statistics, but I know it is.
Pause it. You know what? Let's check the statistics. Because that is an unequivocal lie that when you're on a news program, you can actually check. Now, this is back in 2021. May of 2021, a far less controversial time for a Jew to identify as a Zionist. This is Pew Research. They're a fairly reputable outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's scroll down a little bit here. Okay. Israel, the world's only Jewish majority country, is subject to special concern by Jews in the United States. Caring about Israel is essential to what being Jewish means to now. If 80 some odd percent are Zionists, you would imagine it would be pretty high, this figure, right? Like it would be about 80%.
Yeah.
It turns out that it's only, it's not essential to what being Jewish means to more than 45% of Jewish adults. 37% say it's important, but not essential. That doesn't make them Zionists. There is no assessing like whether the people perceive themselves as Zionists. And I got news for you. That number is much lower today.
Oh yeah, and like,
much lower.
Even in 2011, there was a Pew poll that we talked about last week that twice as many white evangelical Protestants as Jews say that Israel was given to the Jewish people by God, and that's 82% versus 40%. So it gives people a sense of like what are some of the other political forces driving this, and why this student might be on stage with someone like John Hagee, who said Hitler was sent by God to create Israel.
Kufi is a much bigger organization, but the point is that why I resent it is that she's out there basically saying I'm not Jewish because I don't subscribe to Zionism or Israel's policies, and it's a lie. It's a lie that if it had been used in the other way, if someone was accused of operating because they're Jewish in Israel's interests, simply because they're Jewish, you might get censured in Congress for people even misinterpreting
Dual
what
loyalty.
you said about that. Yes, it's just unbelievable that she can go on there and say this without any type of pushback. It's offensive to me as a Jew. In addition to it being just offensive from a perspective of just like what the reality is.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that the percentages of Jews who are represented in these protests, both as a percentage of like Jews in the specific populations of these different universities, and just in terms of raw numbers, is probably significantly higher than any other on a per capita basis than any other identification whatsoever.
That's what the demonstrators are saying, in part because they're trying to get the word out that their religious identity and cultural identity is being weaponized by people who don't have their best interests at heart to further a genocide, and yet there's blackout on the media front on that. Why not bring on a Jewish Voice for Peace person to explain that? That might be interesting to your audience, right? If they already feel that that Zionism equals Judaism, perhaps this could be a new angle. But then they bring on someone to reinforce that. I mean, let's be clear about what their bias is. Even though the polling about what Israel is doing is just like plummeting, mass disapproval.
I mean, 75% of Democrats now, and we know that Jews are one of the most consistent Democratic voting blocs in the country.
Yeah. How does MAGA feel about Israel?
It's just unbelievable. Yeah, bring on somebody from Kufi. If you want to talk about who the supporters are, bring on a couple of Christian Zionists, and let's hear about their support of Israel.